Something strange happened to Silicon Valley between 2000 and today. The men who built the digital age stopped talking about technology and started talking like prophets. They don't call it religion. They call it consciousness expansion, life extension, technological singularity, effective altruism. But when you examine their beliefs, their rituals, their gathering places, and their stated goals, a clear pattern emerges. The richest humans in history are building a new faith, and at the center of that faith sits a simple, terrifying belief that they can transcend humanity itself. This isn't speculation. This is documented in their own words, their own writings, their own public statements. From Elon Musk's proclamations about merging with AI, to Peter Thiel's quest for immortality, to Ray Kurzweil's predictions of digital resurrection, Silicon Valley's elite have constructed a theology. And like all theologies, it has its holy sites. Burning Man in the Nevada desert, the Singularity University campus, private meditation retreats in Big Sur, Bilderberg meeting rooms in European castles. These are the new temples. It has its prophets. Kurzweil preaching the coming rapture when humans merge with machines. Yuval Noah Harari declaring Homo sapiens obsolete. Nick Bostrom warning of AI gods we must serve or die. It has its rituals. Ayahuasca ceremonies in the Amazon. Silence retreats where CEOs don't speak for 10 days. The burning of a 40-foot wooden man watched by 70,000 believers in the desert. And most importantly, it has its ultimate promise, eternal life. Not in heaven, in the cloud, your consciousness uploaded, your body enhanced, death itself defeated by technology. Here's what makes this different from every religion that came before. These believers have more wealth than most nations. They control the platforms where 3 billion humans communicate. They're building the artificial intelligence systems that will make decisions affecting every person on Earth. When a medieval peasant believed in resurrection, it didn't matter. When Mark Zuckerberg believes in digital immortality, he can spend tens of billions of dollars making it happen. This is the story of how the tech elite became a techno-religious cult. How Burning Man transformed from a hippie beach party into a networking event for billionaires planning humanity's future. How ancient Gnostic beliefs about transcending the flesh got repackaged as transhumanism. And how the people building tomorrow genuinely believe they're going to become gods. Let's start with a fact that surprises most people. The titans of tech didn't come from nowhere. They came from somewhere very specific. Elon Musk's family owned an emerald mine in apartheid South Africa. His grandfather was Joshua Haldeman, a Canadian chiropractor who moved his family to South Africa in the 1950s and joined a political party called Technocracy Incorporated. Technocracy, remember that word. It will come up again and again. Joshua Haldeman believed that scientists and engineers should run society, not politicians. He believed in central planning by technical experts. He believed democracy was obsolete. These beliefs didn't die with him. They passed down through his daughter May to his grandson Elon. Peter Thiel grew up in Foster City, California, son of a German chemical engineer. He attended Stanford Law School, the same institution that produced a staggering number of tech founders. But Stanford isn't just a university. It's a networking nexus, a filtering mechanism, a place where certain people meet certain other people. Mark Zuckerberg came from a wealthy family in Dobbs Ferry, New York. His father was a dentist, his mother a psychiatrist. He attended Phillips Exeter Academy, one of America's most elite prep schools, before Harvard. These aren't rags to riches stories. Jeff Bezos was adopted by Miguel Bezos, a Cuban immigrant who became an Exxon engineer. But Jeff's biological grandfather was Lawrence Preston Giese, a regional director of the U.S. Atomic Energy Commission. Government connections, technical expertise, access to classified research. Sergey Brin's parents were Soviet mathematicians who emigrated to America in 1979. His father became a math professor at the University of Maryland. His mother worked at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. Think about that. NASA, space, the final frontier, the escape from Earth. These aren't random people who stumbled into success. These are children of the technical elite, raised in families that believed in the power of technology to reshape reality. And they all absorbed a specific worldview, not from business school, not from capitalism, from something much older. In the 1960s, something strange happened in California. The counterculture crashed into the military-industrial complex and produced a hybrid. Stuart Brand founded the Whole Earth Catalog in 1968. The catalog's stated purpose was to provide access to tools for personal transformation. But Brand wasn't just a hippie. He'd worked with the merry pranksters and participated in early LSD experiments funded by the CIA's MK Ultra program. The Whole Earth Catalog became the Bible of a new movement. It combined Eastern mysticism, cybernetic theory, environmental awareness, and technological utopianism into one package. Steve Jobs called it Google in paperback form. This fusion created what researchers later called the California ideology, the belief that technology plus consciousness expansion equals human liberation. The idea that the same tools could be used for meditation and for business, for spiritual growth, and for wealth creation. The personal computer revolution didn't emerge from corporations. It emerged from this strange brew of hippies, hackers, and visionaries who believed they were building tools for consciousness transformation. Steve Jobs took LSD and went to India. He practiced Zen Buddhism. He believed Apple products were tools for expanding human potential. The iPhone wasn't just a phone. It was a device for enlightenment. Bill Gates met with Warren Buffett at a gathering organized by Katharine Graham of the Washington Post. These weren't business meetings. They were salons where ideas about society's future were discussed. Gates later joined Buffett in the Giving Pledge, but we'll examine what that really means later. Larry Ellison, founder of Oracle, became obsessed with longevity. He spent over $400 million funding anti-aging research. He openly states he thinks death is unnecessary and plans to live forever. See the pattern? Technology isn't separate from spirituality for these men. Technology is their spirituality. The official story says these men succeeded through intelligence, hard work and innovation. That's partially true, but it's not the whole truth. Let's follow the money. Mark Zuckerberg launched Facebook from his Harvard dorm room in 2004. Within months, he had his first major investor, Peter Thiel, who put in $500,000 for 10% of the company. But here's what most people don't know. Thiel didn't just randomly find Zuckerberg. They were connected through a network. Thiel was already a PayPal billionaire, already connected to intelligence agencies through Palantir, already a member of the Bilderberg Group. Zuckerberg's roommate at Harvard was Andrew McCollum, whose father was a senior vice president at a company called Fiserv. Tech connections, family connections, network connections. The initial funding for Google came from Andy Bechtolsheim, who wrote a check for $100,000 before Google was even incorporated. Bechtolsheim was a founder of Sun Microsystems. More importantly, he was part of the Stanford network. Larry Page and Sergey Brin met at Stanford. Their research was partially funded by the National Science Foundation and DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. Yes, the Pentagon helped fund Google's development. The search algorithm they developed, PageRank, was actually based on citation analysis methods used by academic researchers and intelligence agencies to map networks. They weren't just building a search engine. They were building a surveillance and mapping tool. Amazon's first major investment came from Tom Alberg, who was on the boards of multiple banks and had deep government connections. Jeff Bezos himself had worked at D.E. Shaw, one of the most secretive and successful hedge funds on Wall Street, known for recruiting physics and math geniuses. Elon Musk sold his first company, Zip2, for $307 million in 1999. But Zip2's board included More Davidow Ventures, a venture capital firm with deep ties to defense contractors. When Musk founded SpaceX, his initial customers were NASA and the US military. Tesla's survival depended on a $465 million loan from the Department of Energy in 2010. Government money, the same government that was already working with these men through other channels. See the pattern. Every single one of these self-made billionaires was plugged into networks, government networks, intelligence networks, defense networks, academic networks, and most importantly, networks of other believers who shared their vision. This wasn't just capitalism. This was coordinated development of transformative technologies by a connected elite who believed they were building the future. In 1986, a man named Larry Harvey and some friends burned an 8-foot wooden effigy on a beach in San Francisco. It was a spontaneous act of artistic expression. By 2000, Burning Man had moved to Nevada's Black Rock Desert and attracted 25,000 people. Today, it attracts over 70,000, and tickets cost over $500. But something changed in the 2000s. The billionaires arrived. Elon Musk has attended Burning Man multiple times. He's been photographed there, spoken about it in interviews, called it the future. Larry Page and Sergey Brin have attended. So has Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Jack Dorsey. Literally dozens of tech CEOs make the pilgrimage annually. Why? What are the richest men on earth doing in a temporary city in the Nevada desert, living in dust storms, dancing to electronic music, watching a wooden man burn? The official answer is that it's about art, radical self-expression, community. The real answer is more complex. Burning Man operates on 10 principles, but 3 matter most: radical self-reliance, gifting economy, decommodification. These aren't random values. They're the values of a post-capitalist, post-democratic, technologically mediated utopia. At Burning Man, money theoretically doesn't exist. Everything is gifted. But in reality, the rich arrive in luxury RVs, stay in air-conditioned compounds, employ Sherpas to handle logistics, and network intensively with each other. Burning Man became the place where billionaires could play act at primitive communism while planning monopolistic capitalism, where they could experience temporary poverty while controlling permanent wealth, where they could feel like rebels while building the systems of control. But there's something else happening at Burning Man, something spiritual. The event centers on the burning of a massive wooden effigy called the Man. This happens on Saturday night. 70,000 people gather in a circle around the structure. Music plays, fire performers dance, and then the Man burns. Anyone with knowledge of ancient pagan rituals recognizes what this is: a mass gathering, a sacred geometry, the circle, a sacrifice to purify, the death and rebirth symbolism. This isn't just art, this is ritual. The scholars who study Burning Man openly describe it as a temporary autonomous zone and a liminal sacred space. Participants describe mystical experiences, ego death, spiritual awakening. They use language identical to mystery school initiates throughout history. And the tech elite absorbed this. They took the rituals, the symbolism, the communal energy, and they made it theirs. In 2013, Elon Musk gave a TED Talk where he described Burning Man as crucial to his creative process. He said it was a place where radical innovation becomes possible, where normal rules don't apply. What he's really saying is that Burning Man is a place where he can access a different state of consciousness, a liminal state, a magical state. Peter Thiel has been more explicit. In essays and speeches, he's talked about the need to create parallel societies outside normal legal and social structures. Burning Man is the prototype. A temporary city with its own rules, its own economy, its own values. For 1 week a year, the tech elite live in their vision of the future. A world they control. A world with their values. A world where they are gods. Here's where it gets interesting. Burning Man isn't just a festival. It's a networking event more exclusive than Davos. In 2004, Larry Page and Sergey Brin attended Burning Man together. That same year, they took Google public, creating billions in wealth overnight. Coincidence? Maybe. In 2006, Mark Zuckerberg attended Burning Man for the first time. Facebook was still growing, still finding its business model. At Burning Man, he met with other tech leaders. Within 2 years, Facebook's revenue exploded. Elon Musk attended in 2010. the same year Tesla received its government loan. He's been back multiple times, often in the company of other CEOs and venture capitalists. What are they discussing in the desert? We don't know for certain, but we can infer. Because the same people who meet at Burning Man show up at other gatherings. The Singularity University, founded in 2008 by Peter Diamandis and Ray Kurzweil, funded by Google, located at NASA's Ames Research Center. Its stated mission is to educate and inspire leaders to apply exponential technologies to address humanity's grand challenges. That's the public mission. The real function is networking, coordination, and ideological alignment. The same faces appear. The same beliefs are reinforced. The same vision of the future is propagated. TED and TEDx conferences, where tech elite give talks about their visions, where they're treated as prophets, where their ideas spread to millions through carefully curated video presentations. The Edge Foundation dinners, where scientists, technologists, and billionaires meet to discuss the future of humanity. John Brockman, the Foundation's founder, carefully curates the guest list. Jeff Bezos attends. Elon Musk, Larry Page. These aren't random dinner parties. And then there are the more secretive gatherings, the ones we only know about through leaks and investigative reporting. Peter Thiel first attended the Bilderberg Conference in 2011. This is documented fact, confirmed by multiple sources including leaked participant lists. For those who don't know, Bilderberg is an annual conference of approximately 150 of the world's most powerful people, political leaders, banking executives, tech CEOs, media moguls, intelligence chiefs. The conference started in 1954, founded by Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands and CIA psychological warfare expert Joseph Rettinger. The stated purpose was to prevent another world war by fostering understanding between Europe and America. The actual purpose, documented in declassified files, was to coordinate Western policy without democratic oversight, to ensure that the right people were making the important decisions, to create consensus among the elite before presenting options to the public. Attendance is by invitation only. No minutes are published. Participants agree not to attribute statements to specific speakers. What happens at Bilderberg stays at Bilderberg. Peter Thiel attended. So did Eric Schmidt, executive chairman of Google. Reid Hoffman, co-founder of LinkedIn. These aren't coincidences. These are selections, initiations. When Thiel returned from Bilderberg, his companies received increased government contracts. Palantir, his data analytics company, became deeply embedded with intelligence agencies. The CIA's venture capital arm, In-Q-Tel, was already an investor, but relationships deepened. What did Thiel discuss at Bilderberg? We don't know exactly, but that same year, 2011, he gave a speech at the Seasteading Institute conference about creating floating cities outside government jurisdiction. He was thinking about sovereignty, about creating new nations, about escaping democratic control. Eric Schmidt attended Bilderberg in 2008, 2011, and 2013. During this period, Google transformed from a search engine into a global surveillance infrastructure. Google began working directly with the NSA, as Edward Snowden later revealed. The pattern is clear. Tech leaders attend Bilderberg. They meet with intelligence officials, banking executives, political leaders. They coordinate, they align, they return to Silicon Valley and implement. This isn't conspiracy theory, this is documented networking, but it's networking with a purpose. By 2010, the tech elite had stopped being shy about their beliefs. They started speaking openly about transcending humanity. Ray Kurzweil published The Singularity is Near in 2005. The book's thesis, technology is advancing exponentially, and by 2045, artificial intelligence will surpass human intelligence, leading to a merger between human and machine consciousness. Kurzweil wasn't predicting, he was prophesying. He genuinely believes he will live forever by uploading his consciousness to computers. He takes 225 supplement pills daily to stay alive until the technology arrives. Google hired Kurzweil as director of engineering in 2012. This wasn't a public relations move. This was Google buying into his vision. Larry Page personally recruited him. Peter Thiel became even more explicit. In interviews, he stated that he believes death is a problem to be solved. He's invested millions in biotech companies focused on longevity. He's funded research into parabiosis, where young blood is transfused into older people. There's a word for these beliefs: transhumanism. The philosophy that humans should use technology to evolve beyond current biological limitations. Transhumanism has roots in early 20th century movements. Julian Huxley, brother of Aldous Huxley, coined the term in 1957. But it goes back further, to the Theosophical Society, to occult movements that believed humanity was destined to transcend physical form. The tech billionaires discovered these ideas and found them compelling, not as metaphor, as literal truth. Elon Musk founded Neuralink in 2016 to develop brain-computer interfaces. His stated goal is to merge human consciousness with AI. He said that humans must become cyborgs or become irrelevant. This isn't casual speculation. Neuralink has raised hundreds of millions of dollars. It's conducting experiments. It's building devices designed to be implanted in human brains. Mark Zuckerberg rebranded Facebook as Meta in 2021. The company's focus: building the metaverse, a virtual reality where people spend their lives as digital avatars. Zuckerberg has invested tens of billions in this vision. Why? Because he believes digital existence is the future. That physical reality is just one substrate for consciousness, that we can live in simulated worlds as easily as the real one. Jeff Bezos named his space company Blue Origin after a term from alchemy. The blue origin represents the source of all creation, the prima materia from which everything emerges. This isn't random. Bezos is signaling that he sees space exploration as a spiritual quest, not just a business. Blue Origin's logo is literally a stylized representation of the alchemical symbol for transformation. The company's motto: gradatim ferociter, step by step, ferociously. This is the language of esoteric orders, of mystery schools, of those who believe they're on a sacred quest. In 2011, a philosophy called effective altruism began gaining traction in Silicon Valley. The idea seemed simple: use reason and evidence to do the most good possible. The movement's founders were philosophers Toby Ord and William MacAskill at Oxford. But it found its real home in Silicon Valley, where it was embraced by tech billionaires looking for moral frameworks. Dustin Moskovitz, Facebook co-founder, became one of the movement's biggest funders. So did John Tallinn, co-founder of Skype. Sam Bankman-Fried, before his spectacular fraud, was effective altruism's golden boy. The philosophy sounds benign, but look closer. Effective altruism prioritizes existential risks, threats to humanity's long-term future. What's the biggest existential risk according to EAs? Artificial superintelligence. So effective altruism became obsessed with AI safety, which sounds good until you realize what it means in practice. It means the people building AI get to control the narrative about AI risk. It means billions of dollars flow to organizations run by the same people developing the technology. It also means that present suffering gets deprioritized. Why help people starving today when we could prevent trillions of future digital beings from suffering in simulations? This isn't altruism. This is a moral framework designed to justify the tech elite's priorities. It's a philosophy that says their work on AI is more important than feeding the hungry, housing the homeless, or healing the sick. And it has deep ties to transhumanism. Many effective altruists believe in the simulation hypothesis, that we might be living in a computer simulation created by a future post-human civilization. This gives them moral license to prioritize the development of AI that could create such simulations. The circle closes. Transhumanism provides the destination. Effective altruism provides the moral justification. Burning Man provides the ritual community. Bilderberg provides the coordination. The tech platforms provide the power. We're only beginning to understand how deep these networks go, how coordinated these beliefs are, how seriously these billionaires take their vision of transcending humanity. In Part 2, we'll explore the specific rituals and practices, the ayahuasca ceremonies in the Amazon, the meditation retreats where CEOs practice ego death, the secret clubs and societies beyond even Bilderberg. We'll decode the symbolism they use, why Facebook became Meta, why the Twitter bird is actually a phoenix, why Google's original motto, "Don't be evil," was later abandoned. We'll investigate their plans for humanity, the 15-minute cities, the digital currencies, the brain implants, the social credit systems, the merger of human and machine. And we'll ask the ultimate question: if these men genuinely believe they're becoming gods, what does that mean for the rest of us? Let's go deeper, because what we've covered so far is just the surface. The networks, the gatherings, the philosophy, that's the framework. Now we examine the practices, the rituals, the specific beliefs that drive these men. And we need to understand something crucial. These aren't metaphors to them. When Elon Musk talks about becoming a multiplanetary species, He's not speaking poetically. When Peter Thiel discusses defeating death, he means it literally. When Ray Kurzweil predicts merging with AI, he's describing what he believes is inevitable destiny. They practice what they preach, and the practices are stranger than most people realize. In 2014, something shifted in Silicon Valley. Suddenly, tech executives started talking openly about psychedelic experiences. Steve Jobs had famously called LSD one of the most important things he'd ever done. But he was talking about the 1970s. This was different. This was current. Tim Ferriss, investor and author with deep Silicon Valley connections, began hosting ayahuasca ceremonies for tech elite. He's spoken about this publicly, describing how CEOs and founders gather in private homes or retreat centers to drink the Amazonian plant brew. Ayahuasca contains DMT, dimethyltryptamine, one of the most powerful hallucinogens known. Indigenous shamans have used it for centuries in spiritual ceremonies. But what the Amazonians use for healing, the tech elite use for something else. They call it consciousness expansion. They describe encountering entities, receiving downloads of information, experiencing ego death and rebirth. They return from these ceremonies convinced they've touched something beyond the material world. Sergey Brin reportedly attended ayahuasca ceremonies. So did numerous venture capitalists and startup founders. The practice became so common that psychedelic integration coaches appeared in Silicon Valley, helping executives process their experiences. But here's what's important. Ayahuasca isn't recreational for these men. It's sacramental. They approach it with the seriousness of religious ritual. They prepare, they fast, they set intentions. They integrate the experiences into their worldview and business decisions. Several executives have stated that insights from ayahuasca directly influenced product development. One founder described receiving the vision for his company during a ceremony. Another said ayahuasca showed him that consciousness is substrate independent, reinforcing his belief in mind uploading. This isn't drug use. This is a practice shared by an elite priesthood, using entheogens to access what they believe are higher states of consciousness. Exactly like mystery school initiates throughout history. And it's completely legal if done in religious contexts. The Union du Vegetal Church and Santo Daime Church won Supreme Court cases protecting their right to use ayahuasca. Tech billionaires simply need to join the right church. While some tech leaders journey to the Amazon, others pursue a different path, the path of silence. Jack Dorsey, Twitter and Square founder, has been the most public about this practice. He attends 10-day Vipassana meditation retreats where participants don't speak, don't make eye contact, and meditate for over 10 hours daily. Dorsey has described these experiences in interviews. He talks about ego dissolution, about experiencing time differently, about achieving states of consciousness beyond normal waking awareness. In 2018, he tweeted about a retreat where he meditated for 7 hours straight. But it goes further. Dorsey has attended multiple retreats in Myanmar, the country where Vipassana originated. Myanmar, which was under brutal military dictatorship. He was criticized for this, but continued going. Why Myanmar specifically? because that's where the practice is purest, most intense, most transformative. Dorsey isn't interested in the westernized, comfortable version. He wants the full initiation. Other tech leaders have followed similar paths. Evan Williams, Twitter co-founder, practices meditation. LinkedIn founder Reid Hoffman has discussed contemplative practices. Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff traveled to India for spiritual guidance. These aren't casual interests. These are disciplined practices requiring enormous time commitment. 10 days of silence, 7 hours of daily meditation, years of practice. What are they seeking? They describe it as clarity, focus, creativity. But the actual experience they report is much stranger. Dissolution of self, perception of reality as malleable, direct experience of consciousness as separate from body. In other words, they're using meditation to achieve what ayahuasca achieves chemically, the experience of transcending physical form, the feeling that consciousness can exist independently of matter. This becomes their proof that mind uploading is possible. If consciousness feels separate from body during meditation, maybe it actually is separate. Maybe it can be transferred. Peter Thiel's quest for immortality deserves deeper examination, because it reveals the ultimate goal of this entire movement. Thiel has invested in at least 17 companies focused on life extension and anti-aging. He's funded the Methuselah Foundation, focused on extending human lifespan. He's backed the SENS Research Foundation, which aims to repair age-related damage at the cellular level. But the most controversial investment involves parabiosis. This is the practice of transfusing blood from young donors into older recipients, based on studies showing it can reverse aging markers in mice. A company called Ambrosia offered this service for $8,000 per liter of young blood. The FDA issued a warning. The company claimed to shut down, but private treatments continue in less regulated jurisdictions. Thiel hasn't confirmed using parabiosis himself, but he's publicly discussed the science and hasn't denied it. What we know for certain is that he's fascinated by the concept, by literally consuming youth to extend life. This isn't metaphorical. This is actual blood transfusion from young to old. The symbolism is impossible to ignore. Vampirism, the consumption of life force, ancient occult practices repackaged as biohacking. Larry Ellison has been even more aggressive. He's spent over $400 million on anti-aging research. He founded the Ellison Medical Foundation specifically for this purpose. In interviews, he stated that death makes no sense, that it's an outdated evolutionary artifact. Sergey Brin's wife at the time, Anne Wojcicki, founded 23andMe, the genetic testing company. While publicly about ancestry, the real value is the genetic database. Millions of people's DNA, analyzed for patterns related to longevity, disease, optimization. Google itself launched Calico in 2013, a company dedicated to combating aging and extending human lifespan. The CEO is Arthur Levinson, former Genentech chairman. The funding is unlimited. The goal is explicitly immortality. Think about what this means. The richest people in history are coordinating massive resources toward defeating death. not just treating disease, ending aging itself. When current technology fails, there's always cryonics, the practice of freezing bodies or brains after death, hoping future technology can revive them. Peter Thiel has paid to have his body frozen by the Alcor Life Extension Foundation. This is confirmed. So has Hal Finney, early Bitcoin developer. Ray Kurzweil plans to be preserved. Alcor, based in Scottsdale, Arizona, stores over 180 bodies and brains in liquid nitrogen. Members pay up to $200,000 for the service. But the tech elite don't just join as customers. They fund research. They serve on boards. They treat it as seriously as any other investment. The logic seems sound if you accept the premises. If consciousness is information, and information can be preserved, then freezing the brain preserves the information structure. Future technology could scan the frozen brain and upload it to a computer. This connects everything. Cryonics plus mind uploading equals literal resurrection, not in heaven, in silicon. And they're working on it. Multiple companies are developing brain scanning technology. The Human Connectomy Project is mapping neural connections. OpenAI and other AI companies are working on artificial general intelligence that could theoretically host uploaded minds. This isn't science fiction to them. This is their roadmap, their actual plan for achieving immortality. Now let's decode what they're telling us through symbols, because nothing in tech branding is accidental. These men know exactly what they're doing. Facebook became Meta in October 2021. Mark Zuckerberg explained it as representing the metaverse. But meta has deeper meaning. Meta in Greek means beyond, transcending. Metaphysics, metamorphosis, going beyond the physical. The Meta logo is an infinity symbol, the lemniscate. In occult tradition, this represents eternal recurrence, the Ouroboros, the cycle of death and rebirth. It appears in tarot, in alchemy, in hermetic texts. Zuckerberg is signaling that Meta is about transcending physical reality, creating infinite digital worlds, achieving a form of immortality through virtual existence. Twitter's bird logo was officially a mountain bluebird. But in 2010, the design was refined to look more dynamic, more ascending. And when you understand bird symbolism in occult traditions, you see the real meaning. The phoenix, the bird that dies in flames and is reborn from ashes. The symbol of resurrection, transformation, transcendence. The alchemical symbol for the perfected soul escaping material corruption. When Elon Musk bought Twitter, he changed the name to X. Not random. X is the unknown variable, the crossing point, the chromosome. But in occult numerology, X is the Roman numeral 10, which reduces to 1. Unity, the all. X also forms a cross, the intersection of matter and spirit, horizontal and vertical. And in algebra, X is what you solve for. The answer, the hidden truth revealed. The Google Chrome logo contains 3 colors: red, yellow, green. These are the primary colors of alchemy. Red for sulfur, passion, the masculine principle. Yellow for Mercury, transformation, the mediating principle. Green for salt, materialization, the feminine principle. At the center, where the three meet, is a blue circle. Blue represents spirit, the quinta essentia, the fifth element that transcends the other four. Chrome itself means color, but also references chromium, element 24. 2 + 4 = 6. 3 sixes in the design when you look carefully. Apple's logo is a bitten apple. The official story says it's a tribute to Alan Turing, who allegedly ate a cyanide-laced apple. But the deeper symbolism is obvious. The fruit of knowledge. The bite that expelled humanity from Eden. The original sin that gave us consciousness. Steve Jobs knew exactly what he was doing. Apple products promise knowledge, awakening, the ability to think different. They're tools for eating forbidden fruit, for becoming like gods, knowing good and evil. Amazon's logo has an arrow from A to Z. Everything from A to Z. But look at the arrow. It's also a smile, and it points upward from left to right, the direction of ascension. From alpha to omega, first to last, beginning to end. The totality of existence controlled by one company. Tesla's logo is supposedly a T, but it's actually a cross-section of an electric motor. Or is it? Look closer. It resembles the cross of Lorraine, used by occult orders. It looks like an IUD, a birth control device, preventing natural reproduction. It suggests technology replacing nature. SpaceX uses a simple name and logo, but the X appears again. And the mission is explicit, making humanity multiplanetary, escaping Earth, the Gnostic dream of escaping the material prison. Every symbol reinforces the same message: transcendence, transformation, escape from physical limitations, becoming more than human. Peter Thiel named his data analytics company Palantir. Anyone who read Tolkien knows what that means. The Palantiri were seeing stones, crystal balls, that allowed users to see distant places and communicate across vast distances. But in Tolkien's mythology, the Palantiri were dangerous. They could be controlled by Sauron, the Dark Lord. Those who used them risked corruption. Saruman fell because he used the Palantir and was seduced by power. Thiel knows this. He's a massive Tolkien fan. He named his company after an object of power that corrupts users. This isn't an accident. It's a signal. Palantir's technology is used by intelligence agencies, military, immigration enforcement. It analyzes massive amounts of data to predict behavior, identify targets, track individuals. It's a surveillance tool of unprecedented power. The company's other investors include the CIA's venture capital arm, In-Q-Tel. This is public information. The Central Intelligence Agency funded the development of technology now used to surveil populations worldwide. Thiel's other company, Founders Fund, has a Latin motto: Vivere est militare. Life is warfare. This isn't motivational. This is a statement of philosophy. Existence is struggle. Only the strong survive. Social Darwinism crystallized. And Thiel has been explicit about his political philosophy. In a 2009 essay, he wrote, "I no longer believe that freedom and democracy are compatible." He advocates for systems where enlightened elites make decisions without democratic constraints. This is technocracy, the belief that technical experts should rule, the same philosophy his colleagues share, the same philosophy embedded in Silicon Valley's DNA. The World Economic Forum, where many tech leaders are members and speakers, promotes the concept of 15-minute cities, urban areas where everything you need is within 15 minutes by foot or bike. Sounds beneficial, reduces carbon emissions, increases walkability, builds community. That's the pitch. But look at who's promoting it. Look at the technology required to implement it. Digital identity systems to track movement, social credit systems to enforce compliance, cameras on every corner, sensors in every device. The 15-minute city requires total surveillance. You can't limit where people go without tracking where they go. You can't enforce local living without monitoring travel. The infrastructure is control infrastructure. And who builds that infrastructure? Tech companies. Google's Sidewalk Labs attempted to build a smart city in Toronto. The project failed due to privacy concerns, but the template remains. Sensors everywhere, data collected constantly, algorithms making decisions about traffic, access, resources. Microsoft is building smart city technology. Amazon provides the cloud infrastructure. Palantir analyzes the data. These aren't separate initiatives. They're coordinated development of total information awareness applied to urban environments. The same people who attend Burning Man and practice ayahuasca are building the systems to monitor every aspect of human life. The contradiction is only apparent. They believe they're enlightened enough to wield such power responsibly. They believe they're building utopia. Bitcoin emerged in 2008, creator unknown. The mythology says it's decentralized, anonymous, freedom money. But look at who embraced it, who invested in it, who built companies around it. Peter Thiel invested in Bitcoin early. So did the Winklevoss twins, who fought Zuckerberg over Facebook. Mark Andreessen, legendary venture capitalist, called it the most important invention since the internet. Jack Dorsey's Square, now Block, went all in on Bitcoin. The libertarian pitch made sense. Decentralized currency outside government control. But something strange happened. Governments didn't ban it. They studied it. And now central banks worldwide are developing digital currencies based on blockchain technology. CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, programmable money that can be controlled, tracked, and manipulated by central authorities. The technology developed for liberation becomes the tool for control. Every transaction tracked, money with expiration dates, funds that can only be spent on approved purchases, accounts that can be frozen without court orders. China already implemented this with the digital yuan. The European Central Bank is developing the digital euro. The Federal Reserve is researching the digital dollar. And the infrastructure was built by tech companies. Did the tech elite know this would happen? Did they build Bitcoin to normalize digital currency before governments took it over? Or did they genuinely believe in freedom money and get co-opted? The answer might be more disturbing. They might not care. Because for them, Bitcoin serves a different purpose. Wealth preservation, avoiding taxation, moving money across borders. They can afford the best privacy tools. They can use cryptocurrency the way it was intended, while normal people get trapped in surveilled CBDCs. Elon Musk founded Neuralink in 2016. The stated goal is medical, helping paralyzed people communicate, treating brain disorders. The actual goal is merger with AI. Musk has stated explicitly that humans must become cyborgs or become irrelevant, that artificial intelligence will surpass human intelligence, that the only way to remain competitive is to augment ourselves with technology. Neuralink has demonstrated its technology in animals. A monkey played video games using only brain signals. A pig had its neural activity monitored in real time. The next step is human trials. The device is a coin-sized implant inserted into the skull. Thousands of electrode threads penetrate brain tissue, reading and potentially writing neural signals. It connects wirelessly to external devices. A Bluetooth brain. Musk presents this as inevitable progress. But consider what it actually means. A device in your brain, connected to the internet, potentially controlled by external entities. Your thoughts monitored, your emotions influenced, your memories accessed. Who controls Neuralink? Musk does. Who would have access to the data? Whatever terms of service you agree to. What prevents malicious use? Nothing but trust in the company. And Musk has already demonstrated he'll use technology for political purposes. He bought Twitter and changed moderation policies. He grants or denies access to Starlink internet based on geopolitical considerations. Why would Neuralink be different? The transhumanist dream becomes the surveillance nightmare. The technology to transcend humanity becomes the tool to control humanity. And it's being built right now in secret laboratories by teams of engineers convinced they're saving the world. In November 2022, Sam Bankman-Fried's cryptocurrency exchange FTX collapsed. Customers lost billions. Bankman-Fried was arrested and charged with massive fraud. But Bankman-Fried wasn't just a crypto trader. He was effective altruism's biggest champion. He pledged to donate most of his wealth. He funded EA organizations. He spoke at EA conferences. He was the movement's proof that you could make billions and give it away. The fraud revealed something important. Effective altruism's focus on long-term existential risks created moral permission for short-term harm. If preventing AI catastrophe in 2100 matters more than anything, then maybe fraud is justified to fund AI safety research. Bankman-Fried explicitly used this reasoning. He described his philosophy as ends justify means. He believed making money any way possible was acceptable if he donated it to important causes. This is the dark side of effective altruism. It creates a moral framework where elite priorities override normal ethics, where the future hypothetical suffering of digital beings matters more than present actual suffering of real humans. And it's not just Bankman-Fried. The entire movement is funded by tech billionaires who made their money through surveillance capitalism, addiction psychology, and monopolistic practices. They're trying to buy moral absolution through selective philanthropy. But it's not working. The contradictions are too obvious. You can't surveil 3 billion people and claim to be altruistic. You can't build addictive products and call yourself ethical. You can't concentrate wealth and power, then pretend you're solving inequality. Let's connect all the dots. Every piece we've examined fits together into a coherent whole. The tech elite believe humanity is at a transition point. They believe artificial general intelligence is coming soon. They believe it will surpass human intelligence. They believe this creates two options: merge with AI or become obsolete. Everything they do flows from this belief. The meditation and psychedelics convince them consciousness is substrate independent. The longevity research buys time until uploading technology exists. The cryonics provides backup. The brain-computer interfaces create the merger path. The surveillance infrastructure monitors humanity's transition. The digital currencies create control systems. The smart cities become managed habitats. The social credit systems reward compliance. And they genuinely believe they're helping, that they're steering humanity through a dangerous transition, that their enlightenment through Burning Man rituals and ayahuasca visions gives them wisdom to make decisions for everyone. This is techno-utopianism mixed with occult practice, mixed with authoritarian impulse. It's the California ideology evolved to its logical endpoint. The belief that enlightened elites using technology can perfect humanity. But perfection to them means transcendence, escape from physical limitation, merger with machines, immortality in silicon, a future where human biology is obsolete. They're not building products. They're building the infrastructure for a new form of existence, one they plan to inhabit, one they plan to control. How do they coordinate? We've documented some of the gatherings: Burning Man, Bilderberg, Edge Foundation dinners, TED conferences. But there are others. The Long Now Foundation, founded in 1996, brings together people thinking about the next 10,000 years. Jeff Bezos funded a 10,000-year clock inside a mountain in Texas. Stuart Brand, Whole Earth Catalog founder, sits on the board. This isn't about clockmaking. It's about creating long-term thinking among elites, about coordinating plans that span centuries, about ensuring the right people control humanity's trajectory. iCombinator, the startup accelerator, serves as an ideological filter. Sam Altman ran it before founding OpenAI. The program doesn't just fund companies. It indoctrinates founders into Silicon Valley's worldview. Disrupt everything. Move fast and break things. Technology solves all problems. Thousands of startup founders pass through Y Combinator. They absorb the philosophy. They build companies based on it. They hire employees who believe it. The ideology spreads. The same pattern appears in venture capital. Andreessen Horowitz, Founders Fund, Sequoia Capital. They don't just provide money. They provide networking, mentorship, ideological alignment. They ensure portfolio companies share values and coordinate on strategy. And then there's the revolving door between tech companies, government agencies, and think tanks. Eric Schmidt left Google to chair the Defense Innovation Board. Regina Dugan went from DARPA to Google to Facebook. Ash Carter went from Secretary of Defense to joining Amazon's board. These aren't random career moves. These are coordination mechanisms. ways to align government policy with tech industry goals, ways to ensure regulations favor certain companies, ways to funnel government contracts to connected firms. The result is a network, not a single conspiracy with a headquarters, but an emergent coordination among people who share beliefs, attend the same events, invest in the same companies, and pursue the same vision. Is this actually a religion? By traditional definitions, yes. It has cosmology. The universe is computational. It has eschatology. The singularity is coming. It has soteriology, salvation through technology. It has practices, meditation, psychedelics, life extension. It has priests, Kurzweil, Musk, Thiel. It has temples, Burning Man, campus meditation rooms, cryonics facilities. It has sacred texts. The singularity is near, superintelligence, life 3.0. Most importantly, it has faith. Despite zero evidence that consciousness uploading is possible, they believe. Despite no proof that AGI is imminent, they prepare. Despite unclear mechanisms for defeating death, they invest billions. This is faith-based behavior. They're building their entire worldview on assumptions about future technology that doesn't exist. They're making massive decisions affecting billions of people based on beliefs that cannot be verified. But unlike traditional religions, which locate salvation in the afterlife, this religion promises heaven on earth through technology. And unlike traditional religions, which usually lack temporal power, this religion's believers control more wealth and power than any priesthood in history. What happens when the ultra-wealthy believe they're building God? When the powerful think they're evolving into a higher species? When the technically skilled consider themselves enlightened beyond normal ethics? History provides examples. They're not encouraging. Can this be stopped? Should it be stopped? These are the questions that matter. Some of the technology being developed could genuinely help people. Brain-computer interfaces might help the paralyzed. Life extension research could reduce suffering. AI could solve complex problems. But the concentration of power, the lack of democratic oversight, the merger of technology with occult belief systems, the explicit goal of transcending humanity, these are dangerous. The tech elite have built systems that survey billions of people. They've created platforms that shape political outcomes. They've accumulated wealth that exceeds most nations. They operate with minimal regulation or accountability. And they believe they're enlightened. That their meditation practice, their psychedelic insights, their attendance at exclusive gatherings gives them wisdom to make decisions for humanity. This is the core problem. Not the technology itself, but who controls it and what they believe they're building toward. Democratic systems struggle to regulate what they don't understand. Politicians don't know how algorithms work. Regulators can't keep pace with innovation. By the time laws pass, the technology has evolved. The tech elite exploit this gap. They build first, ask forgiveness later. They lobby to prevent regulation. They fund think tanks that produce favorable research. They hire former government officials to smooth the path. And they genuinely believe they're doing good. that they're shepherding humanity through a critical transition, that their vision of a post-human future is inevitable and beneficial. Here's what we know for certain. The world's richest people are coordinating through private gatherings. They share a belief system that combines technology and spirituality. They practice rituals derived from ancient mystery schools. They're building infrastructure for surveillance and control. They're researching ways to transcend biological humanity. They've told us their plans. Musk wants to merge humans with AI. Kurzweil predicts the singularity by 2045. Thiel wants to defeat death. Zuckerberg is building the metaverse. Bezos is focused on space colonization. These aren't random ambitions. They're pieces of a coordinated vision. A vision of humanity's transformation. A vision where biological humans are obsolete. Where consciousness exists in silicon. Where the elite who funded the transition live forever. The question isn't whether this is happening. The evidence is overwhelming. The question is what it means and what we do about it. They're building their religion in plain sight. The temples are in the Nevada desert and at corporate campuses. The rituals happen at festivals and meditation retreats. The sacred texts are published by major publishers. The priests give TED Talks. But religions built by the ultra-wealthy with the goal of transcending humanity have never ended well. Every time humans have tried to become gods, tragedy has followed. The tech billionaires might achieve their goal. They might upload their consciousness. They might defeat death. They might colonize space. They might merge with AI. But the rest of humanity won't. We'll be left in the world they transformed, subject to the systems they built, monitored by the infrastructure they created, living under rules designed by people who no longer consider themselves human. This is the secret religion of the tech elite. Not worship of God, but the ambition to become God. Not faith in salvation, but the technological pursuit of immortality. Not humble acceptance of human limitation, but aggressive transcendence of the human condition. They meet in the desert and burn a wooden man. They drink ayahuasca and meet entities. They sit in silence for 10 days and dissolve their egos. They fund life extension and cryonics and brain uploading. And they're absolutely serious. This isn't a hobby or a phase. This is their life's work, their ultimate purpose, the thing they're willing to spend billions and decades pursuing. The future they're building isn't for everyone. It's for them. The people who attended the right schools, joined the right networks, believed the right philosophy, and accumulated the right resources. The rest of us are just living in their experiment. Test subjects in their quest for transcendence, data points in their algorithms, obstacles to root around on the path to posthumanity. They've told us what's coming. We should believe them, and we should decide whether we're willing to accept their vision, or whether humanity means something worth preserving, something that doesn't need transcending, something that doesn't require uploading to be valuable. The tech billionaires are building their heaven. The question is whether the rest of us want to live in it, or whether we'll build something different, something human, something that doesn't require becoming gods to be worthwhile. That choice still exists, but the window is closing. Every day, the infrastructure grows stronger. The surveillance deepens. The control systems tighten. The technology advances. They're racing toward the singularity, toward the moment when AI surpasses human intelligence, toward the merger of human and machine, toward immortality in silicon. Maybe they'll succeed. Maybe consciousness really is substrate independent. Maybe uploading will work. Maybe they'll live forever. Or maybe they'll discover that being human was the point all along. That consciousness requires biology. That transcendence is an illusion. That death is what makes life meaningful. We'll find out soon. They're making sure of that. The experiments are running. The technology is developing. The infrastructure is being built. The future is being coded. And when it arrives, we'll know for certain. Whether the tech billionaires were prophets or madmen, whether their religion was true or delusion, whether they became gods or just very wealthy people who believed their own hype. Until then, watch carefully. Notice the symbols. Track the connections. Follow the money. Question the narrative. Resist the surveillance. Protect your humanity. Because once it's gone, you can't upload it back.